Hello and welcome to another standard video here in the preview event for Magic the Gathering plus Final Fantasy. Today we're taking a look at a mono-green landfall deck featuring 4 copies of Tifa Lockhart, a 2-mana 1/2 trampler with a landfall, saying whenever a land enters we get to double Tifa's power until end of turn. So a very powerful effect, especially if we can pair it with a pump spell such as maybe Titanic Growth. Turn 2 play Tifa, turn 3 cast Titanic Growth before playing our land for a turn, Tifa goes up to 5 power, and then if we have a fetch land like maybe an Escape Tunnel or Fabled Passage, we can enable landfall twice, resulting in a 20 powered trampling Tifa to hopefully attack for the win. So that's basically our primary game plan. Besides Tifa, there's also Saz Chocobo from the new sets, an 0/1 with landfall giving it a +1/+1 counter, so it gives the deck another powerful 1-mana play, besides our Llanowar Elves, which can also speed things up, giving us additional green mana to maybe cast a turn 2 Mossborn Hydra already, which is another payoff, doubling the number of +1 counters each time with landfall, so this can also get out of hand very quickly, especially if we pair it with additional +1 counters from Bristly Bill, for instance, which can also improve Tifa's power, but also synergizes very well with the Hydra. And then besides Bristly Bill, we also have 2 copies of Ride the Shupov, which is basically the same effect, except in enchantment form, and can eventually also turn it into a 7/7 creature. Then Ordeal of Nylea, as you may remember from the previous Mossborn Hydra decks, also synergizes very well with all our +1 counters and landfall synergies, as we can maybe attack and immediately fetch up 2 additional lands to enable landfall twice. Very good with a Hydra, especially if we already have Bill or Ride the Shupov in play. And then we have a few more pump spells. Snakeskin Veil, of course, also very important to protect our creatures from removal spells, but also gives us an extra +1 counter, which can maybe enable a card like Ordeal of Nylea. And then besides Titanic Growth, we also have 2 copies of Archdruid's Charm, which gives us another flexible answer to enchantments and artifacts, so it can maybe blow up an opposing temporary lockdown, which might have exiled a lot of our creatures, and then we can still get them back, and can also maybe use it as removal while giving us an additional +1/+1 counter, so it's quite versatile. And then the mana base, just 16 forests, then Escape Tunnel has additional utility, making creatures unblockable, unlikely to come up, but it's just strictly better than the other fetch lands we can play in Standard. Fabled Passage, of course, the best one, since it will enter untapped if we already have enough other lands in play. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the draw with a very powerful hand. Can potentially win on turn 3 if there's no meaningful disruption with Tifa into Titanic Growth plus a fetch land. And we even get to start with a Chocobo. Opponent with a similar start. They are green-white, so maybe more of a birds deck. Nope, also has Tifa on turn 2. Well, if they have it, they have it. I guess I can attack, and if they block, I can pump. The white mana could also introduce more interaction. Just a side quest. Alright, so we should not be dead. Take 4. And now just gotta be Titanic Growth plus Fabled Passage. Attack. Maybe should have fetched before attacking in case of an Elspeth Smite on the Chocobo. But yeah, let's go for it. Can we get to 20 power? We can, and that's game on turn 3. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand is functional, but not exciting. We don't have any of our 1-drops, no Tifa, so it's maybe a little too fair. Titanic Growth, not really a combo with Bristly Bill. This is better. 1 Hydra can go. And then if we draw another untapped land here, we could threaten a turn 3 kill with Tifa. Although if our opponent's playing black, they likely have some removal. Don't even need the elves to survive. It's gonna be a Bronco for now. and Fabled Passage. Could also go for Mossborn Hydra first, since we have the turn 1 elves. And then if they remove the Hydra, we still have Tifa with maybe Titanic Growth to protect it from a cut down. Although we could also draw another pump spell in the meantime. So potentially giving up the turn 3 kill to respect interaction. Alright, Sephiroth. That's fine. And the Mossborn Hydra can still go pretty crazy here. So we'll take it. Opponent did find a Go for the Throat. Could not draw into a protection spell, but yeah, I guess it's just another Hydra for now. Although it's likely that they prioritize killing the Hydra over Tifa with Go for the Throat. But we may as well grow another Hydra in the meantime. I may as well sack now. So both Hydras are out of range from a cut down. And with Fabled Passage, Hydra could go up to 16 power next turn. Opponent did draw into cut down, so that can answer Tifa, but no longer answers the Hydra. But they had another Go for the Throat, wow. Well, this is brutal. Bristly Bill helps somewhat. So then we can get Tifa out of range from cut down. Although if I have to use the Fabled Passage, then we miss out on the extra landfall trigger, of course. We're also at 9 in the meantime, so we're also close to dead. With Titanic Growth, we can potentially fizzle a cut down, so we'll see. It's gonna be a Surveyor next, and that's fine. Sephiroth attacks. Sacking the Surveyor, maybe hoping to draw another removal spell. Can take it. Kind of hoping they don't cut down now, so I can save the landfall trigger for next turn. And Cecil not gonna transform anytime soon, the last ride. Well, turns out we're the ones on the low life total. And we found escape tunnels, so this could be lethal now. Landfall first, resolve Bill, then Tifa. Now I can Titanic Growth, maybe could have done so in response to the Tifa trigger, since it was already out of range from cut down. Fetch. And then we can fetch again. So now they can try and cut down Bill. Going for Llanowar Elves, that's fine. So yeah, even though they had a lot of removal, we still seem to get it done. Any reason to fetch now with Fabled Passage? I guess if I go full control and fetch again, I could stack the triggers so we get an extra counter before we double twice. If we want to go for maximum damage. But yeah, as I said, I could have casted Titanic Growth a little bit sooner, I believe. 48, Trample. And there we have it, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a very powerful hand, assuming Tifa survives. So turn 1 Elves. Would love to draw a protection spell, although now with a fetch land, if Tifa lives, we can already combo next turn. I guess I'll leave the elves back to pretend like we might have a protection spell. Opponent maybe a black-white sacrifice deck with the Forsaken Miner. And do we get to untap with Tifa? We do. So yeah, this seems like it could be game. I guess they can chump and still survive. Can Titanic Growth. Escape Tunnel. Sacrifice or attack and see if they want to block already. I mean, they kind of have to, which means I don't have to fetch with the Escape Tunnel if I don't want to, but I think it's worth it. So maybe the elves could have also snuck in an attack to get in one more damage. But yeah, now if we get to connect with any of our creatures and Titanic Growth, it should be game. A Miner hits us for 2. And a Lawbringer, yeah, that's removal. Tifa down. Snakeskin Veil shows up a turn late, but now we can protect Tifa. So I don't think I bother attacking with the elves, because then I have to Titanic Growth or Snakeskin Veil. And now I can just protect Tifa. And then next turn we should be able to cross the finish line. So they need a very specific removal spell. So I can main phase Titanic Growth if I'd like. Play the Escape Tunnel. Could also sack it to make the elves unblockable. And sure, we'll just leave the elves back just in case. Bitter Triumph. We can now Snakeskin Veil, and that should do it. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a reasonable hand. Just need to draw some more forests off the top. So I probably still play Chocobo on 1, hope to draw an untapped land. Although I could prioritize playing a turn 2 Bill as well. Hard to say which one's better. Opponent on Cecil. And drew a Snakeskin Veil. So don't particularly want to trade for Cecil, since we can eventually trample over with the Hydra. And do have Snakeskin Veil up. And now a Fear of Missing Out. I'm gonna discard and draw. Discarding the Headliner. So it could be kind of a Sephiroth sacrifice deck still. Still hoping to draw lands. Which I did. So now I could play Bill, keep up Veil, or we can go for the highest upside play, which is Hydra, if it doesn't get removed. And then we still have a decent backup plan with Bill. Yeah, that seems fine. Chocobo gets to attack. And then especially with a land next turn, I could go Bill into Ordeal, and I imagine that's lethal. Take 4. Opponent's gonna lose 2. Looks like they do have removal. Bitter Triumph losing 3, so then Cecil gets to transform here into a 4/4 lifelink. That's too bad. Tifa, good with Titanic Growth, so I guess that's the play now. Could also Ordeal to get more lands from the Chocobo, but Tifa definitely has the highest upside. So then I can protect either one of my creatures, and with Ordeal on Chocobo we also trigger Tifa a bunch. So ideally still draw an untapped land. So I can Titanic Growth plus Ordeal. Opponent's got a Headliner. So that can threaten to remove one of my creatures. And our opponent goes all out. And these also become indestructible. So yeah, I guess I can just soak up some damage. I'm happy if our opponent just tries to pump Hard Claw, because then I get to protect Tifa, and she'll have more power for next turn. Their opponent lets it go. I get to untap. Just another Chocobo to draw. Well, I could try and Snakeskin Veil on Tifa. And then let's see if I Ordeal. Yeah, I guess we don't quite get to search up the lanes. So I have to Ordeal on Chocobo. Attack. I get to find 2 lanes. Yeah, that's not quite gonna do it, is it? I do get to protect with Snakeskin Veil. But doubling Tifa twice without any pump spells prior is not gonna save me. So then the sequence might be Bill and then just pass. Is that better than Ordeal on Chocobo and pass? Yeah, the problem is we're potentially facing lethal here. Yeah, I think I actually Ordeal on Chocobo and pass. Hope they use the headliner end of turn. I get to protect with Veil. I can then block Cecil. And take it from there. So I don't get to attack, because it would be 2 lanes, Chocobo up to 6, Tifa up to 2 and then 4, so that's 10 damage. Gotta hope the 4-5 can hold off their 4-4. And then next turn with Titanic Growth we can maybe make something happen. But we're super dead if they have any relevant interaction left. Cecil and another Fear, so they get a free draw. Did they draw something useful? Alright, opponent goes for the all-out attack. So I can block here, take 3. And now we should have it. Titanic Growth on Tifa, get 2 lanes, so that's 20. Let's see, opponent does have 6 toughness, so that's certainly relevant. I guess we'll just play the Chocobo to have an extra blocker, but yeah, I have to go for it. I'm not gonna live another turn with 2 Hard Claws attacking. So our opponent's gotta block both. They fall to 1. And yeah, I think I'm dead here on the way back, sadly. Alright, never mind. I guess Cecil also triggers when you block with it, so that saved us. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw with a keepable hand. We've got a couple ways to enhance Tifa, and now even a turn 1 Elves to speed things up, facing black-white. It's gonna be the Pilgrim, so maybe a sacrifice deck. Alright, play Tifa, and then probably hang on to Fabled Passage to go with either Bill or a Ride the Shupuff next turn. I guess if I play Passage now, I could play both Bill and Ride, but then I won't get the benefit from landfall, so that doesn't seem too helpful. Take 2. Snakeskin Veil was huge. So now we'll start with Bill, since I don't think I'm afraid of a board wipe. Otherwise there's merit to playing the Ride first. Fabled Passage, make sure to resolve Bill before Tifa. And then I don't have to go all out right now. Could just hit for 4. And then next turn we can go with extra backup. since I'll be able to sacrifice double Fabled Passage. Our opponent did have a Get Lost. I will have to Snakeskin Veil. Now we'll have to wait and see if they have another removal spell, or if Tifa gets to connect once again. Alright, another Get Lost, that's too bad. But we still have a decent plan with Bill and Ride. And a Hydra now too. Alright, don't mind if I do. Play Hydra. Fabled Passage. Counter on Bill, then double with Hydra. And then I'm just gonna pass and see if we can go for lethal next turn. Charm can also maybe clear the Pilgrim. Conviction to draw 2. So they're looking for more removal. Voice of Victory is acceptable. Would have been able to maybe stop our Snakeskin Veil. 2 cards in hand, 2 mana, and as Bartolome. That's fine. So I think we have it here. Especially if I play Ride first. Can also play the Chocobo for what it's worth, or we could explore onto the Hydra. Maybe get one more counter. I guess I can also do that after playing the Chocobo. So I'll fetch. And get a whole bunch of triggers, just make sure Hydra's on the bottom. And then I can only explore as a sorcery, so wouldn't be able to do it in response. But I can do it before fetching again. And our opponent scoops it up. Yeah, this would have been well over 20 trample damage. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a promising hand. Question is whether we play the Chocobo on 1, since otherwise I don't get to play Tifa on 2. I think it's still worth it. Of course, drawing an untap land would be ideal, but it might still be worth it to slow play Tifa with Snakeskin Veil backup anyways. So I'll get to fetch here, attack for 2, and then we still need to draw lands, although Ordeal on Chocobo can also find 2 lands. Opponent with Garnet, so a Saga deck. Alright, do we think Tifa's gonna get removed if we go for it? Could just go for Ordeal and get our lands, but then I might struggle to a landfall to enable Tifa. So I think I do just play Tifa and cross my fingers that she doesn't get removed. And then next turn we'll have more options. Summon Fenrir. Doesn't remove anything, but gets to ramp. Opponent gains 3. Found the land, that's huge. So what's the ideal sequencing now? I wouldn't be able to Titanic Growth plus Ordeal. I could still Snakeskin Veil on Tifa, although they can still trade for the Fenrir then. I guess I could also play the Ordeal on Tifa, play a land and pass, keep up Snakeskin Veil. Does that make sense? Or just play Ordeal on Chocobo's second main. I guess it makes the most sense then. So we save that effect for next turn. So just hit for 3. Hopefully Snakeskin Veil's enough to protect the Chocobo. And then next turn I can Titanic Growth Tifa, attack and get the 2 extra landfall triggers at the very least. Possible they can remove the Ordeal itself with Sheltered by Ghosts. They go for Tifa. Do you have another one? They can still go after the Chocobo. Opponent is gaining 8 as well, so we'll have to wait and see. Get to untap and find a land. Alright, have to imagine that's going to be enough for lethal. Can keep up Snakeskin Veil to make sure. And then... is Titanic Growth better than Ride the Shoopuf? I have to imagine it is. So play Titanic Growth. Play my lands. Attack. Chocobo triggers Ordeal. Get 2 more lands. And that's 48 damage from Tifa alone. Awesome. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand is all in on Tifa with no protection. No fetch land either to set up a turn 3 kill. But it does have potential. And then finding any of our other creatures that synergize with +1 counters would be great. So I'll take a Chocobo or a Lenor Elves as well. Turn 1 Swamp, Infestation Sage, so it's a sacrifice deck, likely with Sephiroth. So they could have some removal for sure. In the meantime, drew Fabled Passage, so we can threaten 20 trample damage on turn 3. And a Voice of Victory, also very synergistic with Sephiroth. Well, I get to play Tifa, maybe next turn Hydra, if Tifa gets removed. It's gonna be the Pilgrim. Okay, so our opponent's not gonna die to a single Titanic Growth plus Fabled Passage, so we might want to slow play it. And if I play the Hydra first, we'll have 2 lethal threats, potentially. Now the Ride is also interesting. If I set up the Ride, then next turn Ordeal of Annihilation goes off as well, so we can easily deal more than whatever their life total is. Although it is going all in on Tifa, so if they do have removal left, it may not work out. So then with the Hydra we diversify a little bit more. It's a close call. I think I do still play the Hydra. And then I'm not attacking, because I don't want to trade for the Pilgrim. Should still be safe to block a 1/1. And a Lawbringer's next, so yeah. They get to take out one of my creatures. Goes for the Hydra. So can we threaten lethal? So let's say I Titanic Growth, play Fabled Passage, double up to 10 trample, attack. They're essentially at 28. I can then fetch with Fabled Passage in response to the other landfall trigger, pump with Titanic Growth up to 14, so then 28. I think we have Exaxes, if I sequence correctly. I didn't do the math to see if we would get there with Ride and Ordeal. I suppose I could have also responded to the first landfall trigger by fetching and casting another Titanic Growth. Yeah, that would have been even more damage. So now we get to fetch. Landfall trigger on the stack. Titanic Growth. So I possibly could have gotten even more damage here. Alright, and that'll do it. Awesome. So yeah, this mono-green deck is incredibly impressive. We now have both Tifa and Mossborn Hydra as threats that can present lethal incredibly quickly if you compare them with a fetch land or two. It remains to be seen whether this linear strategy can hold up in the best-of-1 ranked ladder, since of course the red aggro decks are also very fast, but they do have access to more interaction thanks to their burn spells. So if I had to guess, the red deck is still going to come out on top, but with some well-timed hexproof tricks, the mono-green deck can still maybe eke out some wins. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. Want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.